with our next guest in the studio is going to be Rob Webster, CBE CEO of West Yorkshire ICB. Now, Rob has been the lead chief executive for the West Yorkshire Health and Care Partnership and Integrated Care System since March 2016, and he became chief executive of the NHS West Yorkshire Integrated Care Board in July 2022. His focus is on collaboration across health, local government, the third sector and communities to improve outcomes for people in West Yorkshire. Rob, very warm welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me along.
Long introduction there.
It was very long, wasn't it? And,
it was. Tell me a little bit about you, your role at the moment,
sure,
and what you get involved with.
So I've been in the health and care system for 33 years now, and I've worked at national government level. I've been the chief executive of the NHS Confederation. I've run trusts, foundation trusts, and now a health and care system. So got experience of working at all levels, really, which I think is important to understand how everything fits together.
I say quite experienced, like you say, quite a diverse sort of journey as well. How did you begin this? What was your sort of inspiration to step into the NHS healthcare initially?
I don't think I did have any inspiration. You know, it's like when you're young. I think it was one of those things where I had an opportunity to join the fast stream as a statistician. In 1990, and I decided I'd do that for a little bit, and then 33 years later, I'm still here. One guise or another. Yeah. I think my drivers are really about social justice, about making a difference, and seeing my staff do well. You know, I fundamentally believe in the potential of people, whether that's the people in our communities or our staff, and I try and create the conditions where that potential can be fulfilled, really. I
say it's so many people have that just rewarding feeling. It is that, you know, it's a unique experience, I think, especially with this industry compared to any other industry, any other expo I've been to, that you've got this conjoint outlook. It's just everyone's working towards the same goal, and like you say, that warm fuzzy feeling inside that you take home, that you are genuinely making a difference. And
underneath they are. I think sometimes you have to battle through a few layers to get there.
Yes. I'm not saying it's easy.
I think we often distance ourselves from each other by using bureaucratic language, which is different between councils and the NHS, the third sector as well, the way that we describe people's roles, the way that we think about our targets, the way that we think about the things we want to achieve. But once you sit down with folk for a little bit, you can quickly get to the position where you understand what motivates people to be involved and what success looks like, and it tends to be the same.
And do you find events like this help?
Events like this always help. I think that the Confed, at its best, sets the weather. Because what you've got is you hear from the main players nationally and locally around what's going on, but you're also inspired, I think, to see things differently. So you've got a range of speakers here today, you know, Clive Woodward and others who've given you different perspectives. You might meet different suppliers here who give you a different perspective or experience. And I'm always keen, I think, to pinch with pride and do it better. So if somebody's doing something, we could do that. Let's try and do that. So I think the Confed's great for that, setting the weather, making connections, getting fresh perspectives.
Have you managed to jump in on many of the sessions over the last couple of days?
I've been here today only.
Okay.
As you say, being a chief exec at the moment is it's quite hardcore in terms of the work that's involved, but I'm delighted to be here today. I'm chairing a session very imminently, actually, on prevention, which I'm really looking forward to. It's a fundamental part, I think, of all of our roles, whether you work in an acute hospital or in a charity supporting people with learning disability. You know, we've all got a primary, secondary, tertiary prevention role that we could play. So I'm really looking forward to that session. I mean, where else would you get somebody from Demos, somebody from a school, somebody from the national team, somebody from a combined authority giving their perspectives in front of an audience who really wants to make a difference?
Do you know what time that's coming? Let's say
3:30.
3:30. There we go. I'll say if you want to tune into that, 3:30. That'll be
that's
going.
That's in the plenary. On the plenary session.
Okay, excellent stuff. And I say it'll be available on catch up as well if people do miss that session. But tell me about any sort of key takeaways you've had from the show, you know, from earlier on today.
I genuinely think you can't underestimate the power of getting people together. I think leadership is a contact sport. You need to see people, you need to be with people, you need to have those conversations, I think, which give you a different perspective, because you can get stuck in a bubble if you're not careful. I think some of the takeaways from the last couple of days, clearly I think Amanda setting out her stall and talking through the whole system, from prevention, primary care, joined up community services into acute care and beyond. I think that's been really powerful. I think Matthew, making a plea to a future government, of whatever colour, that you need system working when you're dealing with system problems. I think that's pretty critical. But for me, it is that thing about leadership. It happens in systems. Whether we can see that or not, we just ask the patients. And being with everybody in a place like this is critical to understanding that.
Brilliant. And is there anything, or what most excites you about the future of healthcare?
I think we're in a period now where, two things happen at once. The NHS Constitution talks about the NHS operates at the limits of science, and where what's most needed is basic kindness and compassion. And those two things are true. And if you think about both ends of that spectrum, the limits of science are really, really being stretched, aren't they? The things that we could do. And the capacity and capability to have enough people to deliver basic care is also a challenge. And I'm really looking forward to how in systems we work with people themselves to make sure they get good care, and that as much of that as possible is supported by great technology.
Fantastic. And people do have a lot of beliefs about the NHS. Some of them misconceptions, you might say. Are there any sort of misconceptions or wrong beliefs that you think you could set the record straight on?
Where do you want to start? I mean, the NHS is an organisation. It's not. It's a system. The NHS is inflexible. It's not. It's very flexible and dynamic. We saw that in COVID. The NHS is not good at engagement. It is good at engagement. It's just how you systematise it. I think fundamentally the biggest one for me is that the NHS is a cost. The NHS is not a cost, it's an investment. It's an investment in the economy, it's an investment in people, it's an investment in the future. And once you start to see the NHS that way, 100,000 jobs in West Yorkshire are in the health and care system. That's a big chunk of the economy. When you start to think of it that way, then your outlook becomes different. It's not a burden, it's an investment. I think that's the biggest one I'd like to correct.
Brilliant. I really appreciate that, Rob, and say thank you very much for joining us in the studio and giving us your insight.
Great to see you. I'll go and chair my session if people are around. Plenary session, 3:30, prevention.
If you're near Manchester, come on in. Go join Rob's session. Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.